And just before we get started, if you want to get your hands on a hashtag scenes t-shirt, hoodie or mug, there is a link in the description below. We're also bringing out the Respect the Equipment t-shirt. A lot of people missed it and want it back, so it's available in the store. Link in the description. Okay, folks, welcome back then to a new beginning. Borussia Dortmund is the team, and it's time to have a little look through then at what we can find. I realised I have to do the end of team meeting for Borussia Dortmund, which is a bit strange. You'll see at the top there, I've had a few bids go in for Fernandes and Chimenti, both of which have been rejected. 10 million for Chimenti, 7 million for Fernandes. It'll get to a point where it's not going to be happening, but we can go up to around 20 million, I think, for Chimenti. So we'll see what happens. Transfer special coming next episode on the Monday, so be aware for that then. And yeah, lots to look through in terms of Dortmund. It's a bit of a get-to-know-you session. Of course, if you've missed last episode, you'll know if we're in the Champions League or the Europa League. I just won't say at this point. You'll have to wait and find out, or watch the video that you've previously seen. Wait and find out for what, Ben? Come on now. So let's run it through the team, and this is the first chance we get to see the ability of the players that we've got at hand, and unsurprisingly, Diego Silva, the centre-back, is at the top of that list. The 25-year-old Uruguayan, 4-star current ability, has got everything you want in a central defender. 6'1", 19 strength, great marking, great tackling, good heading as well, jumping reach very good, concentration, decisions, teamwork, positioning, and work rate. As I say, everything you'd want in a defender, he's got it in buckets and spades, and he's worth around £40 million. Luka Jovic then, the guy just below him, valued at 38 million, and I'm wondering, folks, if we could get some sort of super sale on the table. Of course, he's a 4.5-star player. If we're going to progress, you need a player like this, but is there other players out there that we can get on a cheaper deal to Jovic, who's only on sort of 97 grand a week at the moment, so he's not too bad, but if he's wanted, and he is, by the way, by Chelsea and Liverpool, there could be some serious money to be made on Luka Jovic. We'll see, though, if the interest in him develops, as I say, transfer special next time. Carrying on forward then, Alu Munkuru is the player that I've been raving about for a long time. 4-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. The 24-year-old looks like a diamond in, I don't want to say the rough because it's a good squad, but just looks like the jewel in the crown. That's probably a better way to put it. And yeah, we'll be getting a lot of use out of him. Matthias Muller, another one then, a really good striker. And again, Luka Jovic, if we could sell him, does this guy come into the mould? 23 goals so far for Germany in 45 appearances. Is a bit of a goal machine at international level. Isn't too bad at club level either. It's sort of plays second fiddle a lot of the time to Luka Jovic, so would become the main man. M&M, I'm thinking we could call him. And I think that to highlight the strength of this team, you've only got to look through the potential overview of the current ability within this squad. Then you can see two great strikers in Muller and Jovic on this right-hand side. You've got Andre Ivan, a player that's will be familiar to a few of you. Romanian international, is a real-life player at the club. Not too many of those left in the game, but he is one of those. Just behind then, as you can imagine, Munkuru is there ready for action. On the left-hand side, two players there then. Andre Ivan, again, can play on either side, which is really, really nice to see. And Everton, of course, a few people questioning whether I'll be okay with this. He might not be here next time you see, but this is what we're looking at for the squad for now, where we can potentially strengthen it. In central midfield, a wealth of options. Holberg, a guy that you'll be very familiar with, obviously had a little time at Southampton, as well as being a previous Bayern Munich player, has spent a long time at Dortmund after a big move from Southampton, and is extraordinarily well-rounded, and will probably be a starter in the team. The only little concern is that I've got a 30-year-old at 155 grand a week, and while he's very, very good, this is kind of probably going to be the peak, as if we're ever going to sell him, this is probably the moment to sell him. A few more in midfield as well to note as well. Berchtold looks like a really good 24-year-old player, 4-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. A lot of those players in the squad, and again, looks really, really well-rounded. Of course, we're trying to bring in Fernandes, but if there's already a Fernandes at this club, then there's no real need to bring him in. Of course, he was a star for me at Stuttgart, but at Dortmund, if you've got a player like this who essentially does a very, very similar role, in my opinion, or could perform a very similar role, then there wouldn't be that need to bring in Fernandes. So Berchtold could be that guy. Finally, in central midfield, another player will bring you. He's out for 6 to 7 months, so this might be an area in which we look to strengthen, hence I'm showing you it. As I say, cruciate ligament injury, Santiago Ascacalibar. Oh, dearie me, let's try that again. Santiago Ascacalibar. Askasibar. Do you need a drink? Askadibar. I don't know what I'm doing. He's Argentinian. Do you want a drink? Askadibar. What am I doing? Sibar. Askadibar. No, German. Askadibar. That's better. It works. I was trying to go like Jamaican, but no, German. Would you like a drink, sir? Askadibar. Oh, guten Tag. very camp German, apparently. So this might be an area then we need to try and fix up and look sharp in. 72 caps for Argentina. He's a bit of a beast, let's face it. Chelsea was started out at Estudiantes, so he's got the potential to be very good, but with this big injury, we'll be waiting until after Christmas to get him back in the side then. Left back, a name that'll be familiar to a lot of you, Rafael Guerreiro, 32-year-old Portuguese left back, starts the game at Dortmund, a recent signing to Dortmund in real life, of course, and has been there ever since, plays the majority of games every single season. And a similar story at right back then, Felix Passlack, 27-year-old German. Again, Dortmund his whole career has been in the squad for the past sort of 10 years and done a really, really fine job there. So we've got depth in the fullbacks areas, maybe some more players needed there as well. We've got like obviously one great and one good, so that's pretty good to begin with. Defensive midfield, not to be overlooked by the way, Florentino Luis, 4-star current ability, 4-star potential, a rock in the centre of the midfield, and we could probably get a lot out of him. And then moving further back then, goalkeeper centre-backs. Engler, of course, he was at Stuttgart, so there's already one familiar face in this squad for you to feast your eyes upon. He's done okay for Dortmund, hasn't played maybe as much as I'd expect, but has done okay. And next to him, of course, then as mentioned before, Diego Silva. Again, might need to look at a little bit more depth there. And speaking of that, I mean, we'll quickly touch on the goalkeepers. Bernard Leno, really good goalkeeper, but Chimenzi would be my first option if I can get him. Speaking of defenders, if we bring ourselves over to Dortmund 2, or the B team, I guess you would probably call it, there's a little chap that's come back from a loan spell called Nick, we'll call him, and there we are, 19 years of age, German, has a lovely time at Bremen, and now he comes back to Dortmund, and this guy is going to be straight into the squad. In fact, while we're here right now, let's move him to the first team. He is a player I think we can get a lot of good out of. At 19, still got time to grow. His report's really good as well, looking forward to using him. I think this is the kind of guy that could be the future of this team. We'll have to see though. You'll notice I'm just calling him Nick for now. In fact, let's just forget his surname, and I'm really sorry about this everyone, but Nick it is. It's dealt with. So overall, I think the squad is very solid. They had a good season last season. Of course, winning the Europa League, getting into the Champions League. So we need to make sure that this squad is Champions League ready. They relied heavily a lot last season upon their defensive players. Silva, Leno and Guerreiro strike me as players that played every single game and will continue to do that. Passlack, another one, played a lot of football last year. And Moncuru in the centre, 8 goals, 12 assists. In reality, the player playing behind the striker, I want more out of him. And system-wise, I think we'll go with something very similar to what we were doing at Stuttgart. Why change it if it ain't broken? Roles are still to be determined. They're going to depend on signings and sales, of course. But let me know what you think then. In terms of the squad, who do you think that the superstar will be? Do you think there's someone maybe a bit of a hidden gem in this side? Let me know in the comment section. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to reading those. Financially then, currently very, very rich. They've got 60 million to spend as a transfer budget. Of course, got a lot of money for their league placing, as you tend to do in Germany. And if we go through a few other little bits and pieces then, they're a 4.5-star reputation side, something I'm really looking forward to. And if I don't show this, people will be wondering. Oliver Whitman is here as our sort of hot prospect, 15 years of age, very, very quick for a 15-year-old, acceleration and agility-wise. Has got a long way to go before he's anywhere near the first team. And interestingly, someone I've not touched upon yet is Mark Bartra, who will probably, in my sort of reality, will leave because his contract's up and I can't see myself offering a new one. Bit of a shame considering he spent a long time at Dortmund since his move from Barca. Based on how many games he played though, I think his time's probably up. So then in recent seasons, Dortmund have looked good. If you look at the past 6, for example, 5 of which they were second place. Only recently they dropped down to third, and then more recently, obviously this season, a 5th place finish in the league. So they've looked good so far. They just need to be back in that sort of upper echelon stage with Bayern Munich, challenging Bayern Munich for a title, and of course, the end goal of this series, to win the Champions League, or at the very least get to a Champions League final. Overall, I'm pretty pleased. You look at the strengths and weaknesses, and I think there's lots to go off here. Weakness-wise, like there isn't that much to be concerned about. Shooting accuracy, maybe 42%, ranks only 14th in the league. Not enough goals come from this team. I was, apart from Jovic, I mean, we'll bring it up here, like you can see, Jovic with 27, Muller with 18. They are strikers, right? You kind of expect, at this level anyway, you kind of expect them to be doing that in German football. Below that, though, not a player over 10, and that, for me, is the concern. Moncuru with 8, you've got Everton with 5, and then you look at 4s and 3s, and that's just not enough. Let's compare that to Stuttgart, by the way. If you just look at the goals scored last season, of course, they didn't have have two prolific strikers, much like at Dortmund, but you had goals chipping in there. You had Veron with 6, you had Henry Goon with 7, James Rodriguez with 10, who is this also? Kevin with 11, Fernandes from midfield with 15, and then of course you got Defoe with 21 up front. So that's something I'm going to look to instill, that we're going to get players in midfield scoring more goals, not just have to rely on those strikers. So goal scoring midfielders might be something we look to, or at least play a system that caters to those players. I guess in terms of players to bring in from Stuttgart, there's Fernandes and Chimente. If there's anyone else you think that I should maybe be looking at and going in for, let me know. I'll bring up the general view so you can see the value of some of these as well. Some of the players, sort of the top end, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring with me just because they'll be more expensive. Sort of Henry Green, maybe Christian Veron even, and up. I think might be difficult. These players that are sort of lesser valued but valuable in what they offer could be considered. Like Khalifa Khalifa as a backup left back to play in the Champions League and the league could be the right sort of option. So we'll have to wait and see what we do in the transfer special. As I say, that's coming next episode. This was just a short introduction to this Dortmund team at the end of the week. Hopefully you're looking forward to it. Of course, there was 2 uploads yesterday, so if you didn't see the end of the season with Stuttgart, do check those out, as well as the final that Dortmund played. It was an interesting watch. So if you enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like. If you want to see some more, subscribe to the channel, and we love with care from Little Spongy. Until next time, goodbye.